tuning into Nerdy 430, the show where we talk about nerdy-ish things for 30-ish minutes. My name is Kevin Bauer. Joining me always is Tim Keck.
Hey, bud. I'm Tim Keck.
And so far on the show, he sure is.
You gave me the point over Zoom, and I was like, what else does he need me to say right now? I don't know. I can monologue forever, Kevin. You know that.
Oh, my God. When you get the point, you keep going. You just monologue until I stop pointing. It's like a short form improv game.
Yeah, if I ever sound like I'm rambling, it's because Kevin's giving me the stretch hand signal like we're in the theater. Stall. The next act isn't here yet. Stretch.
Oh, my God. I'm just trying to get enough out of you so that someday we get your version of the moth joke. Rest in peace, Norm Macdonald.
R.I.P. a great.
So far on the show, we have mostly talked about movies. But today, we're going to try something a little bit different. Nintendo recently launched a product called let me take a deep breath here, Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack. And despite the fact that Nintendo is arguably the most beloved gaming company in the world, some people are really pissed off. So they're mad about the price and or the offerings, depending on how you look at it. But they're also just generally mad at stuff Nintendo's doing. And I think this has become a rallying cry. So it's a gray area as to who's in the right. I expected you were going to react in some way. Nothing. It's okay. Tim, on the fence. We're going to find out over the course of this episode if Tim has an opinion on it.
So you said you wanted to talk about Nintendo. They're doing a new online service. Is that what this thing they're doing? Their online thing currently sucks, Kevin. Nintendo's online gaming is terrible. It's so mediocre, and it's surrounded by other systems that do it well. You know what else is probably just an indicator? Just looking at this thing, there's nowhere to plug it into the internet on the Switch. You can't you can't connect it to the internet with a hard line. So they obviously don't care about online stuff that much. It's just not what they do. It's not what they do. I mean, do you think of online play with the Switch?
Yeah. I mean, there's certain games that it's integral. Animal Crossing is a huge one where it's Animal Crossing is one of the top selling games of all time. I think it's Nintendo's third highest seller, second or third highest seller of all time.
I told you I did a little bit of Googling. That's one of the things I Googled. Top 10 Nintendo games.
Ooh, I'm going to quiz you on it. Still?
You know it's Mario Kart.
Yeah, it makes sense. Mario Kart, another great example of online. We've played Mario Kart online with a friend of yours that lives in Colombia.
That's cool. It's very cool. While we're on my fun list now of the top 5 Nintendo games, do you think you can name the other 3 in the top 5?
Yeah, we can get this
for the Switch.
Breath of the Wild.
Yes, number 4.
Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
That's number 3. Number 5.
Means number 5 has got to be something fucking stupid.
It's one of the biggest franchises in the history of the world.
Is it just fucking Mario Odyssey?
Oh, it's Pokemon Sword and Shield, my dude.
Oh, I didn't know Sword and Shield sold that well. That's interesting.
They sold 22 million copies, which is more. That was the other thing I was looking at was so PS4, I think their most sold game was Red Dead Redemption. Did not do 22 million copies. Red Dead. I think it was 20 or something like that. 18. Wow. Mario Kart did 38 million copies of Mario Kart, which they're playing online. Animal Crossing, 34 million copies, which we've played online together. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which I think is where most of my online hate is because their ultimate platform, their online platform is terrible. 25 million copies. These are I don't know. It's just they're all a specific type of game, right? You can't play them by yourself. You need to play them with people. These are party games.
So that's exactly why getting this kind of shit right is important because they have so many people playing these. So let me take you back. Let me give you a little bit of background. In September 2018, about 18 months after the Switch launches as a console, Nintendo debuts Nintendo Switch Online. It started off, you got online connectivity. You can connect with friends, play multiplayer games with them. You also got access to 20 Nintendo Entertainment System games. That was Nintendo's original home console from 1985. The price in 2018 when it launched was $20 a year. Basically like a little under like $2 a month. Extremely cheap. If you look at the prices the same year for Xbox or PlayStation, just online access for either one of those was $60 a year. They did have their own cloud gaming services. Xbox has Game Pass, PlayStation has PS Now. At the time, Xbox Game Pass was $180 a year, and that did include Xbox Live membership. PS Now was $240 a year, did not include PS Plus membership. So ostensibly, if you had a PlayStation and you wanted to be able to play multiplayer games online and also have access to a library of games, granted they're better games, like more robust games than like a bunch of Nintendo Entertainment System games that have like 2 buttons, it would be $300 compared to Nintendo's $20 a year. You're getting less, but you're also being charged a lot less.
Yes. Yeah, that makes sense. And Nintendo, I mean, PlayStation, you get free games. You get, that's like all the plus stuff, right? Is then you get like monthly games, which are usually pretty good. You get like a much more online. I think you get a much better online experience for a lot of these games. You also get a system that can get plugged into the fucking internet if you want a good connection. So
it really is the funniest physical representation of how much Nintendo does not give a fuck about online play.
Yeah, they don't care. They're just like, it's not important to us, you know?
Oh my God. Well, anyway, you jump forward 3 years, September 2021, the Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack is announced. It's a new pricing tier that's offered on top of the existing tier. In the existing tier, in the years since, they've expanded out to 58 Nintendo Entertainment System games, plus 49 Super Nintendo games, the sequel console that they did. And you also get access, I think, just in the basic tier as well, to now 14 Sega Genesis games, which is pretty cool. If you get the expansion pack, though, that adds access to 9 N64 games, some of which are like really good games. And you get access to the Animal Crossing DLC that's normally $25 on its own. The price for that expanded tier is $50 a year. So basically like $4.16 a month. It's 150% increase in the price. Really all you're getting with that expanded membership right now is 9 N64 games, with more on the way. That are good games, but they're not here yet. And that Animal Crossing DLC that you could buy separately. The pricing for Xbox Live and PlayStation has not really changed that much. Still $60 a month just for online access. PS Plus came down in price a little bit to compete with Game Pass, but yeah, for both of those now it's like $180 a year. So, it's still a lot cheaper, but with PlayStation Now and Xbox Game Pass, you're getting modern games. You're getting games that have come out in some cases in like 2020 versus N64 games. They're classics. They're some of the best reviewed games of all time, but they're like 20, 25 years old.
So you're one of these people that likes old games, right? You'd be excited to play an N64 game?
Absolutely. Specifically some of the ones that are on here, because like part of the reason people were excited were a few of the games on the list: Star Fox 64, Ocarina of Time, Echo the Dolphin. For anybody else that had a Sega Genesis, Mario Tennis. I was huge into Mario Tennis. I never had Banjo-Kazooie as a kid either. Banjo-Kazooie is on the way. I'm thrilled for the chance to play that game. I've been like waiting for a port or some kind of like a remaster that I could buy. None of those have been available. So this is like the first time a lot of those things have been accessible in a really long time.
I'm just like, I want the newest thing. I remember going back and playing, like, I remember playing Ocarina of Time as a kid, like one of the first Zelda games or whatever, or Ocarina of Time. I don't know how you say it. I got stuck at the water temple and gave up. But I remember as a kid being like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And then I plugged in like a friend's 64, a little more recently, and it looks like crap. It's terrible. It's a square screen. It's grainy. I mean, it looks terrible compared to especially The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Like,
well, yeah,
it's just
25 years old.
It doesn't do anything for me playing these old games. I don't care about it. But there is this nostalgia for Nintendo. Like, I think it's interesting to talk about who like the target audiences are for these consoles, right? Do you think PlayStation players or Xbox players are as nostalgic as certain like Nintendo people. Because I think so for Nintendo, I think the reason why they sell so much stuff is because Mario Kart, Animal Crossing, Smash Bros, Legend of Zelda, Pokemon Smash, these are all just like neutral, family friendly games. They're not really violent. I mean, one's a fighting game, but it is like hitting each other with giant cartoon hammers. You know, there's like no blood in these things. These are things that you can get your kids and know it's all right. You know what? You can even get the whole family to play Mario Kart. You know, I've gotten my parents to play Mario Kart. Like, this is a very approachable thing. They always talk about like senior citizens love the Wii, you know, like retirement homes go Wii bowling together. They're not all like rounding up a posse and hitting Red Dead Redemption Online together in these nursing homes, right? They're looking for like some, you know, Wii tennis, some Switch driving, that like the fit ring that Nintendo does so well, right? So there's like that older demographic, there's that family demographic. Then there's like the younger people who are like want to move. Like the Switch is a thing you can physically pick up and take places, right? And you can game. And again, I think that's something that's cool for kids. Hey, we're going to grandma's house. You can pick up the Switch. You can bring it in the car with you. You can distract the child with it, you know? And then I think there's this other tier of people who are just like, I grew up with Nintendo. I played the 64. I played the GameCube. Now I'm playing the Switch. And oh, man, I would give anything in the world to play an N64 game on a Nintendo Switch right now. There's just there's this weird nostalgia there with Nintendo that I don't think it exists in PS4 or Xbox. I mean, am I wrong about that? Do you know anybody who feels that way?
I think you're mostly right. There are a couple exceptions. One of the big ones is Halo. I mean, the Halo community is extremely nostalgic. I still play Halo weekly with a buddy of mine from college, and we have been going back through and playing the series in preparation for the new one that's coming out. And the anniversary collection that they released and still like meticulously maintain. This is a collection of all the games, and they go through and they do their best to make sure that, like, you know, the servers are still running. You can still play multiplayer in Halo 1, a game from 2001. And they actually have a button for the remastered versions where as you're playing the game, you can hit a button on the controller and toggle the graphics between a remastered modern day version of the graphics and the original graphics. And I play in the original graphics all the time. Like, that's what I'm there for. I have a lot of like Bluetooth versions of old school video game controllers. I love it. Like, I'm there for the nostalgia. I think Halo is the thing for Xbox. PlayStation, I think it's mostly like, you know, Spyro, Crash Bandicoot. Like, I think there are a couple characters that people maybe connected to when they were kids. Ratchet and Clank probably does it for some people. But for the most part, I think you nailed it. Where like Nintendo is it's what we all had. It's what we all played. Even I look at just Pokemon alone. Like, these are things that were foundational in our childhoods and in the childhoods for a lot of people. And we're still kind of connected to it. Like, the closest comparison I can make is Disney, where it's like you grow up with these characters and then it's still fun to go to Disney World and take your kids to Disney World and introduce newer, younger people to these Disney characters that you loved so much and see them love it in the same way. So
Disney is the perfect analogy, because do I want to watch the latest Disney movie? I don't know. What's the most recent Disney movie? Tank. There was an ad for one, right? Was it the one with the Magic House?
Out? Yeah.
Encanto?
The Magic House?
The Magic House one?
I thought you thought the name was the Magic House.
I think that's what Encanto is in Spanish, right? It's Encanto. It's the Magic House.
Well, I learned something today.
I'm pretty sure that's not true. I've only been doing Duolingo for 3 years, so my Spanish isn't great, but I'm not sure.
They say the best way to learn is to teach, and I really appreciate you tutoring me in Spanish, Tim.
Yeah, they say that all the time, and I like to go right to teaching. You know, skip the learning. Just do it. Just speak it from your heart, and then you know it. You know, like, why are we doing the first two steps?
Have you seen that thing where it's like, if a girl asks to play chess with you online, what you should do is open up a separate chess app and put all of her moves into it and then just play whatever the computer plays. I like to imagine you do that with tutoring Spanish, except you just open up Duolingo and play the owl.
I just be like, oh, yeah. So which one's the apple? Point to the manzanas. That's pretty much all I've got. Manzanas y leche, milk and apple. I don't know what it is I hate to generalize, but Spanish speakers love milk and apples together for whatever reason that is. They can't get enough of it. It's their favorite thing all the time. You can't go anywhere without hearing manzanas y leche for everything. I think it's most of their diet is milk and apples, according to every Spanish instructional app or book I've ever read.
Dude, that's a weird thing with Duolingo too, where when we went to France, I expected to see beautiful old red dresses everywhere because that's like all they taught you. The dress is old and beautiful. The red dress is old.
Yeah, if you're like in another country and you're just trying to get by, how often are you saying the word old?
Oh my God. Almost not at all. Dude, I had such a hard time getting by in France, knowing a little bit of French.
When was the last time you've just referred to anything as old, just like talking English to other people? Like, why is that what a useless word to learn? I'd argue I don't even need to know what red is. Like, why do I need to know my colors in order to go places? How much, where is it, a thing, and how to order food at a restaurant? Like, what else do you need to know?
Yeah. Bathroom, probably number one.
Yeah.
Like you should start by learning where the bathroom is. How
to bribe a cop, just the essentials. And then
boom.
And then you're good to go. What were we talking about? Nintendo.
Yeah. I had a whole other tangent I was about to go on. Let's get back to it. Nintendo. These are nostalgic characters. That's kind of part of the reason that people are so pissed off about this expansion pack. Even though it is like technically competitively priced, everybody thinks it's way too expensive for what you're getting. These are really old games. On top of them being old games, the emulators that it's running have input lag and a bunch of problems. So it's the means by which they're getting these old games to play. It's something called software emulation, where you basically use software to, create like a fake version of an older machine on a newer machine. So there's a bunch of different ways to achieve it. They all have their own pros and cons. But in general, you would hope that Nintendo would be pretty good at getting Nintendos to act like Nintendos. Seems like they're having a lot of problems with that in this version of the N64 app that they're running. It's kind of an issue that this is the only way to access these games. They used to drop a lot of games on the Virtual Console for the Wii. If you bought a game on the Virtual Console for the Wii, that's like 2007, I think I was doing that. You're shit out of luck. You don't have any rights to move that digital game to a Wii U or to a Switch. It's like a walled garden. The Switch, unless something has come out for the Switch, it's not playable on the Switch. So there's this massive backlog of Nintendo games that you just have absolutely no way to play anymore unless you own one of the original consoles and whatever equipment it takes to get it hooked up to your current TV.
Yeah, Nintendo, I think, are real dicks in this way. They refuse to be backwards compatible, and they've never been backwards compatible. You got a completely different thing every time. The PlayStation has been we're into discs. Our thing is discs, and if you have a disc, you can put it in the disc hole, and you can play whatever's on the disc. Nintendo's well, we have a cartridge. Well, now we have a tiny cartridge that inserts. Well, now we have, I don't even know what the Switch takes. Oh, they have tinier cards. They just keep changing the size of the cartridge and making more money doing this. And I get it. An N64 cartridge won't plug into a Nintendo Switch, but there has to be something you can do. You can build an attachment to the Switch base that lets you play or something like that. There's got to be things Nintendo could be doing, but it's clearly part of their scheme. They're another analogy. Maybe they're like Apple, how your iPhone starts to fuck out right when the new one comes out. It's you got 2-year window.
Dude, I hate
and
it
then
when my iPhone fucks out.
That's one of the things that pisses me off about Nintendo in general. Even looking at, I'm obsessed with this top list of stuff. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe isn't even an original Nintendo Switch game. I guess Deluxe is. I don't know what's Deluxe about it, but it was a Wii game, right? Was it? It was a Wii game.
I think it was Wii U. Most of the top selling Switch games were just Wii U games, but nobody had a Wii U, so they just put them out again on the Switch.
How lazy are they? If you're
really
buying
lazy,
if you're buying Red Dead Redemption, you have over 100 hours of story driven content to explore and fully flush out for $60. If you spend $60, you get Mario Kart with the same like 16 tracks for nothing. I don't know, Nintendo, I'm not a game designer. How hard is it to make tracks? You can't have like 30 tracks for us. You got to have whatever. It seems like there's never enough tracks. On Nintendo 64, they had like 4 different cups, and now they have 8, and it's been a decade. It took you a decade to make 8 more like courses for us to go through. What are you talking about? And it sold 38 million copies. And you know what? If you buy a Switch, you have to buy it, because what else are you going to play on the Switch? Come on, it's bullshit, Kevin. It's bullshit.
They just announced that the Animal Crossing expansion that came out, everybody's back in Animal Crossing right now because the expansion they dropped on Friday or whatever, they announced it's going to be the last one that they release. This game is still like new. Like this community is still active. They just got people back. It's so frustrating that they're just going to, I guess, like move on to something else or in support, or it's probably in pursuit of whatever the next Animal Crossing game is. But I think there was like a 6-year gap in between Animal Crossing games coming out. So it really is just like, what are they doing? What are they using the money on that they're making?
It dropped in March 2020. So perfect pandemic timing. Wait, was that what year is it now? I don't know.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
That's right when the pandemic started, isn't it?
Oh yeah. It was like the first week into it.
So not only did they aren't they lazy with their Mario Kart? They started the COVID-19 pandemic with Animal Crossing. So these are terrible. I don't get Animal Crossing. That's another one I don't really get either. Like you got islands. It's like we've been playing Minecraft right now, except we can't because, the Wi-Fi connection on my Switch is so bad. So I got to play it on a PS4. Like this is... I didn't realize I had so many thoughts on Nintendo when you brought this up, to be honest.
Hey,
but
that's okay. That's why we're here. I mean, we haven't even touched on fucking Smash Bros. We've tried to play Smash Bros. Online against each other.
Smash Bros. Online is the worst experience.
So this, like the way that Nintendo handles any of Super Smash Brothers, the modern game, they have all these blocks set up on their online systems because they assume that everyone that's trying to play online is a child. These blocks are put in place in the name of child safety, but a lot of non-children have these consoles, and there should be some kind of a way that you can like confirm that you are not a child and would like to be able to play online against strangers, like you can do with any other video game. So Super Smash Brothers has a thing where you have to like know each other's friend codes and then get together and you make like a lobby room, and then you go into the lobby room and you can only have a set number of people in the lobby room. And then you have to like take a token and put it inside a facsimile of like a boxing ring. And then when you get in the token, you can select levels, but it's only a couple levels and you can only like, there's all these fucking hoops you have to jump through. I don't understand why it's so bad.
It's so frustrating. And then, I mean, the other side of the Smash Bros. Coin, which is, again, why people are buying all these Nintendo, why people keep going back to Nintendo and they keep like buying, 25 million copies of Super Smash Bros. Is I'm not really going over to a friend's house, like having a party where we're all playing Red Dead Redemption together or Grand Theft Auto together or Uncharted together. But like I've been to like, people's birthday parties where like there's like 20 people in a room, like 8 at a time playing Mario Kart or Super Smash Bros. And it's awesome. And it's super fun. And you play Mario Party or whatever, turn into a drinking game. Like there's this like community and this great in-person experience of Nintendo. And there's something about Nintendo where like, I don't know. I don't ever play Nintendo by myself. When I'm alone and at home, there's nothing on the Nintendo that interests me. But like socially, there's some feeling like everybody has played it or everybody knows how to play. There's something weird about like I've definitely gone over to people's houses and then somehow everybody knows how to play Smash Bros. Like nobody owns a Nintendo Switch, but everybody knows how to play Mario Kart on the Switch. Maybe it's just easy to pick up or whatever. But there's this like, you're right. It's Disney. It's just this omnipresent force somehow that like we've all done it somehow. Like, I don't know if I just picked up a Halo controller, I would get pwned. But Nintendo, it's acceptable. Everybody can just jump in and do it and be a part of it. And I don't know. It's a communal experience in a way that like PlayStation and Xbox just are like not even trying to be a part of,
It's great. So in general, I got to ask you, Tim, Fans are really pissed about this. There's people boycotting. They're taking the only actions they can really take are not buying it, which is like voting with your money. I think in capitalism is always the best way to send a message. People have been like disliking the announcement video on YouTube and then just tweeting and stuff on social media. I feel like there's different tiers of companies where tweeting at them will get you something. If it's like an airline, tweeting at them, very directly impactful. You know, if it's like Nabisco and you're tweeting at them and you have like a funny viral thing, they're going to send you some crackers. Nintendo, I think, is like of the tier where it's like Nintendo and Apple. You're tweeting at them, you're not getting shit. So like, I don't really think that has any. Yeah.
Nintendo doesn't need these people who are upset by this, you know, because we talked about it. Nursing homes are not going to be buying this online expansion. You know, like families aren't going to be buying this online expansion. Like parents don't want to buy this for their kids. They're excited. That's like, oh, I buy the Switch and then it's $20. They just want to pay the bare minimum to get their kid distracted with whatever's going on. You know, like the family side of this is like going to keep Nintendo like buoyed forever, you know, like I don't see why they would care about these people. The people who are losing their minds about this, like they don't need them, you know?
So let me ask you this. What would it take to get you to subscribe to this service? What do they have to announce that would get you on board?
What would it get me on board? I mean, I don't know.
$50 a year. What do
Release
you need
a game. I've been waiting
a
8 years for Metroid Prime. Like, what are they what am I going to play on the Switch? That's my thing. I was like, there's nothing on here that interests me. I played Zelda. I put in like 100 hours on Zelda through a dark period in my life. The other 5 on here: Super Mario Odyssey, Mario Party, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Splatoon 2, Ring Fit Adventure. What am I supposed to do, Kevin? What am I supposed to be playing now? When we hang up and I'm like, oh, I'm going to hop on the Switch and play Mario Party by myself for a while? Just hop online, you know, just like vibe out and play Splatoon 2. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. If listen, I was so into the Smash Bros thing. If there was a way, if the online experience was enjoyable for Smash Bros, I would probably be doing this. It'd be so easy to do, but like every time I've done it with people, it's not fun and it takes you out of it. And it's just like slow and clunky and brutal. And I mean, Mario Kart, I remember being kind of like a similar thing where it's just like, it's like slow, it's clunky, it's brutal. Like they didn't even master the basic internet playability of this, right? And now they're trying to upsell it. It's like if they were good at the initial thing they set out to be good at, then they'd be able to upsell me on this, but they're not, so they won't. But maybe I'm not the target demographic for this because extra N64 games doesn't do anything for me. But Kevin, I mean, you brought this up. This obviously means a lot to you. How badly do you want these extra N64 games? Like, are you willing to pay the extra money to get access to this library?
Oh, I already did. Day one, baby.
So what's your review? You cross the picket line. You're not boycotting. You're not nothing. You're not upset. You're just like, yeah, Nintendo, whatever shit you want to throw my way, I'll eat it. I don't care. I'm all here. I'm here for it.
I love Mario Tennis, man. In no world did I think. I have the new Mario Tennis. It's not that good. The beautiful thing about N64 games, it's like when you go back and you watch a sport from like the 80s, and like there's not shit all over the screen. There's the score in the corner. Or like, have you ever watched footage of like an NBA playoffs from the 70s? You can barely even read the score because it's just superimposed really shittily on top of a crowd. Your focus is on the game. That's what these old N64 games are like. So like the new Mario Tennis, a million things are moving. They're like fake ads for products in the Mario universe just to make it realistic. People, every time you hit a ball, your character like spins around and jumps and something lights up and there's shit moving on the sides. And there's like all kinds of like power up shots you can do with, I don't need any of that. Like I need, here's, slice, here's lob, go play tennis. That's exactly what that game is. Fucking right to the heartstrings, man. That's an era of gaming that I really like. Everything's a lot more simple. It's a lot easier to just kind of pick up and play. They don't need to be as invested into it. I like to use about half my brain when I'm playing a video game. That's perfect for me. So access to all these games that I want to play. And like I said, Banjo-Kazooie's coming up. I've always wanted to play Banjo-Kazooie. I'm there. I crunched the numbers. If you view it as all of the games that are available to you, for that $50 a year, you're paying about 38 cents a game for access to that game for a year.
If you play every single game available.
I'm playing all of them, Tim.
Okay, so for a guy like me, probably not recommended. But, like most money related things, to quote someone who said that to me one time, if you use it, it's probably worth spending money on if you're going to use it all the time. So, hey, if you enjoy Mario stuff, if you're really big into playing old 64 games, then, maybe you should just shut up and take what Nintendo's throwing at you. But I don't know. Do you get why these people are upset, though?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, look, it's a slap in the face. It's awful. If there was an alternative, if they had these games available, an N64 game right now probably should not cost more than $5, $10, absolute max for an N64 game. Most of these games that they're releasing shouldn't cost as much as they do. New games are way too expensive. They're like $70. People were really mad when they released The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, which is a game from like 2011, I think. When it came out, it was $60. They re-released it, remastered for the Switch. It is still $60. And it came out 10 years ago. Like, that's unconscionable, dude. They should not be able to charge that much for that game. But they know we are going to shut up and take it because it's Nintendo. And just like with Disney, no matter what they do, we're going to give them our money.
100%. And with Disney, I'm happy to do it. Nintendo, I'm pushing back. Okay, let's wrap this up. I got to go play Fortnite on my PS4.
Okay. Well, so yeah, what do you think? Are you buying it? Did you buy it? Are you boycotting? Tell us. Let us know. Send us an email. nerdy430@gmail.com. That's the word nerdy and then the word 4 and then the number 30@gmail.com.
We're also going to throw up some polls on Spotify. If you're listening there, they got this new polling feature. We're testing it out. So check that out. Give us a little review there. All very fun. And if you have any other ideas for topics that we should be addressing in the future, let us know. Do what you do. You know how to get in touch with us. Thanks for listening.
Bye.